The next goal wins. A set of rules used on school playgrounds when your office five-a-side team is 11-0 down and for a brief period of time in the professional game itself. You've probably heard of golden goal, FIFA's in air quotations innovative solution to solving the D word, but what about its less glamorous ugly sister, the silver goal? Where did it come from? What did it mean? What was wrong with extra time? And why did both it and golden goal end up in the bin? Let's start by going back to the early 1990s. While civilization was nearing its peak with MTV, the Super Nintendo, and Reeves and Mortimer, football was undergoing some strange changes. FIFA were far from content with extra time and penalties being the deciding factor in tournament football. The additional 30-minute period was often considered unfair on players who were no doubt knackered from playing a full 90-minute football match on top of being out on the lash the night before. On the other hand, penalty shootouts were, and still are by many, considered a bit of a lottery. So, to solve this perceived problem, FIFA introduced the golden goal rule in 1993. Sudden death in football form. First goal wins, game over, no time to respond, no second chances, no holds barred. It was exhilarating. Well, for a bit, I guess. Notable golden goals include Oliver Bierhoff's winner for Germany against the Czech Republic in the Euro 96 final. Then there's the Euro 2000 final where David Trezeguet's golden goal won France the championship. And most memorable of all was Paul Tate's 103rd-minute golden goal to win Birmingham City the 1995 Auto Windscreen Shields trophy. But as it turned out, the golden goal wasn't quite the golden ticket FIFA had hoped for. Despite the rule creating these final winning moments, in general, teams had become rather cautious, sitting back and playing for penalties rather than going for the win. After all, why would you go for broke when one mistake could cost you the game? Particularly in the context of knockout football. Additionally, golden goal had made it harder to predict when a match would actually end, which would have been a right old headache for stadium staff and any police presence in controlling the crowd. What FIFA thought would bring excitement often resulted in some of the most boring extra times in football history. Fans expected last-minute heroics, but more often than not, it was a big pile of poo. So, in the early 2000s, UEFA, not to be outdone by their big brother FIFA, decided to give birth to something new: the silver goal, introduced in 2003. Here's how it worked. Instead of sudden death, the game wouldn't end the moment a goal was scored in extra time. Instead, teams would play until the end of the current 15-minute period. So, if someone scored in the first half of extra time, the game continued until half-time, giving the other team a chance to equalise. If no equaliser came, the game was over at the halfway mark. If it happened in the second half of extra time, you'd play the full 120 minutes. It was kind of like golden goal, but a semi-skimmed version of it. Why did it come about? Well, UEFA wanted to keep the potential for excitement, but offer a little mercy, a brief window of opportunity for the team on the losing end to get back into the game. It was, theoretically, a more balanced and fairer approach to the brutal sudden death of golden goal. Teams now had some time to regroup and launch a counterpunch rather than facing instant elimination. However, the silver goal wasn't just about fairness. It was about trying to fix the problem of defensive football that had plagued golden goal in extra time. The hope was that this halfway compromise would encourage teams to play more freely, knowing that a single slip-up wouldn't end the game on the spot. Instead of parking the bus and sideways passing, we'd see more open play. At least, that's what we were promised. The 2003 UEFA Cup final offered the first opportunity for silver goal glory, as Celtic and Porto played out a 2-2 draw after 90 minutes. Porto would score in extra time, but the goal didn't come into the 115th minute, meaning that silver goal was redundant. The following season, there were even fewer opportunities for silver goal to make its mark on the world stage. Silver goal had proven to be somewhat of a damp squib. That was until the Euros. The 2004 UEFA European Championship in Portugal is where the silver goal rule is probably most remembered. In the semi-final, Greece took on the Czech Republic. The Greeks, who seemed to be on a mission to turn every game into a Park the Lifolio masterclass, had taken the Czechs to extra time after both sides were goalless after 90 minutes. In the 105th minute, just before the end of the first half of extra time, a corner was awarded to Greece. The ball was delivered to the near post, right onto Trajan Ostelas's noggin, and into the back of the net. Thanks to the silver goal rule, the Czechs just had moments to score an equaliser, but they couldn't. Greece went through to the final and famously went on to win the tournament. Just to add some extra salt into those Czech wounds, it had already been announced by IFAB that silver goal was on its way out. UEFA had confirmed in February 2004 that this would be the last major tournament to use the rule, regardless of how matches played out. So why was it scrapped so quickly? Well, the silver goal rule faced many of the same criticisms as its predecessor. But let's look at the positives for a moment. One of the silver goal's advantages over golden goal was that it gave the losing side some breathing room. With golden goal, a match could end so suddenly that it left players and fans alike feeling robbed of a proper contest. In 2002, Turkey knocked Senegal out of the World Cup courtesy of a golden goal after just 4 minutes of extra time. Had the silver goal rule been in place at the time, Senegal would have at least had until the half-time period to level things up. Now, on to the negatives, and there's quite a few of them. First off, confusion. Unlike golden goal, which was straightforward, first goal wins, the silver goal was seen as unnecessarily complicated. Fans, players and commentators all had to wrap their heads around the idea that a goal didn't automatically end the game, but it might if a certain amount of time had passed. Secondly, despite the hope for more open play, many teams still chose to be defensive, wary of conceding the first goal and then struggling to recover. And then there's the timing of its demise. UEFA's decision to scrap the silver goal rule before the tournament was a bit of a slap in the face. It was as if they were admitting before the tournament even started that the rule wasn't good enough, especially after it had such a pivotal role in Greece's victory over the Czech Republic. It felt like a public acknowledgement of failure, right as the rule was being used on the world stage. Or European stage technically, but you know what I mean. By August 2004, the silver goal was officially retired, and the football world returned to the good old-fashioned system of extra time followed by penalties if needed. The golden and silver goals had come and gone, leaving a faint smell of stale broccoli in football's long and storied history. And that brings us to a bigger question. Did extra time and penalties ever need fixing in the first place? For all the efforts to replace or enhance extra time, it remains one of the most dramatic and nerve-wracking parts of a football match. Penalty shootouts, as cruel as they may seem, are often the moments that we, the fans, remember most. While extra time and penalties can be heart-wrenching, in many ways they embody the purest form of football drama. For now, no one has found a better solution. Apart from the old US 35-yard shootouts, they were pretty fun. Looking back today, the silver goal is remembered as a quirky chapter in football's rulebook, a well-intentioned but ultimately short-lived attempt to balance fairness with excitement. It didn't quite succeed, but hey, at least Greece got to benefit from it. If nothing else, it serves as a reminder that sometimes, even in football, you've got to try things out, even if they turn out a bit Thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, it's usually a good sign that you did enjoy it. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It will help support the channel and help it grow. And don't forget to check out some of the other silly videos that are on the channel, and hopefully you'll enjoy those too.